All right, I broke out the long sleeve. Like,
Wow.
what the hell, right? It's
in the Caribbean.
It's getting cool out there. Have you been outside?
No.
It's cold.
I tend to stay inside. I have Irish English skin.
Hey folks, we're back on the Oceania Serena, and I've got a very special guest right here, Mr. Carson.
Well, hello.
How are you?
I'm absolutely wonderful.
I have to say you are, and I'm not just saying this because of camera, but I think you're my favorite cruise director. Almost 20 years of cruising.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Well, that is the nicest thing I've been told in a very long time. You might want to go talk to those 3 people over there.
Yes, yes. And I put it on the survey, so don't worry, I got it on there. Yeah, yeah. So Carson, how long have you been with Oceania?
I've been just over 6 years now.
Wow.
Yeah, 6 years with Oceania, but 13 years at sea.
13 years at sea. So what have you always been a cruise director, or what have you done?
So I started off actually as a production cast member. I was a singer in the cast, and that kind of, I fell in love with the ocean at that point, and traveling, and but then I knew I didn't want to always be in the cast, and at some point my age was going to get me out of that range.
Yeah, I know that feeling because, you know, I am,
exactly.
Yeah.
But when I said I've been at sea for 13 years, it was because I was born on board.
Wait, what?
Yeah, 13 years ago.
Wow, 13 years ago? Amazing. I want what he's having.
But no, I just always knew that I wanted to be at sea though.
Okay.
And had you told me 13 years ago that I would have made a career on a cruise line,
okay,
I would have laughed at you.
Yeah.
I was Broadway bound. That was my thing. I wanted to be on stage.
Of course.
But then I just fell in love with every aspect of traveling, seeing the world, getting to know people from different nationalities, connecting relationships literally across the world. On cruise lines, we always say, I literally have a bed to sleep in pretty much in every country in the world.
Right?
Because you meet so many people.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been incredible, but for the first 3 years, that's what I did. And then when I started to realize, well, you know, you're not getting any younger and your body's going to start failing you at some point. Those dance moves aren't going to be there forever.
Right,
so I was trying to look at more longevity and staying within this industry. And so I started shadowing cruise director and really fell in love with the position. And come to find out, they pay you more to do this.
Do they really? I kind of figure you get paid less because, you know, you're quote unquote doing less.
Let me tell you.
Oh.
No, but yeah, it's one of those situations where I fell in love with the position, and then I just got the opportunity 10 years ago to kind of take it over. Someone had seen me kind of on stage and things, and they knew that I was shadowing that position, and they said, hey, you know, we've got an opening. What would you think about giving it a try? And I was like, wow. Here we go. That first year, I made more mistakes than I can count.
I bet.
I won't go into all the details, but some of them are quite funny. But after that, I was like, "Yep, this is it. This is the career that I want," because it brought all of my loves together. Traveling. I still perform. I get to do my own show, and also just being able to manage artists and manage entertainment. If you don't know what a cruise director does,
I was going to ask.
Yeah.
So we all see you come out and you do the announcement and you introduce everybody, but what all do you actually do?
So people get confused, especially people of a certain generation, because they watched The Love Boat. So they think I'm Julie. Yes. No, I don't think anybody could be Julie. No, I agree with you. But the cruise director position, it is different on different lines.
Sure.
But for Oceania particularly, it's an incredible position because we are the face and voice of the ship. So we're at all of the major events. We're also all of the announcements that you hear are mainly our voice. And so we're constantly in your world. We do a morning show every day. But we're also in charge of a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. So any entertainment aspect that happens on board, I have to plan it. I have to make sure it's executed.
Oh, wow.
And that all happens previous to the cruise. So like next cruise is already fully planned out, and we call that the cruise layout.
Okay.
And we put everything from every department within it. And so I have to fill in all the entertainment stuff and the parties and things like that. And then I manage here on board this ship. It's one of our smaller ships, but I manage about a team of 20.
Really?
And that includes,
many?
yeah,
Wow.
cast, musicians, technicians.
Technicians behind the scenes.
Yeah. So I get to. So it's a very many different hats position. But I always say that if we have to do medicals every 2 years, we have to do a medical.
Right,
Everyone on board has to do it,
Right.
just to make sure we're in tip-top shape to be in case of emergency situations and things.
Mm-hmm.
But I always say, I thank God they don't give cruise directors a mental evaluation because all of us are slightly crazy.
I think you have to be a little crazy to be successful, don't you
Of
think?
course. A little spark of madness can go a long way.
And I will say, we've been on the largest ships in the world. This is by far the smallest ship we've ever been on. Your crew is incredibly versatile. We see them everywhere.
That's very true.
So the singers, the dancers, everybody, they're doing the games, they're doing this, they're doing that. So that's a lot of stuff for these guys to do.
One of the things that we really pride ourselves on at Oceania, and we say this, and I know a lot of companies say this and a lot of people say this, but we're like a family. But here at Oceania, it's true. We are like a family. The majority of our people that are on board have been with the company 5, 10, 15, 20 years.
Wow.
They stay here for a very long time.
Wow.
And so every ship I go on, I know over 50% of the crew already because
Really?
I've seen them on our other ships, and we always travel. It always seems that I end up with a lot of the same people, but all these people, you get to know them, you keep in contact with them when you're not on the ship, and that also crosses over to our guests.
Okay.
I am very good friends with a lot of our long-traveled guests. We have an 80% retention rate
Wow.
with our guests. So our guests are extremely loyal to us, and they come back time and time again. There's a cruiser in the year 2023. She did, I believe it was 23 cruises with us throughout the year.
Wow.
Yeah, so our guests are very loyal, and they become part of that family. And they come back on board. We remember their names. They remember our names, and it's like finding that old friend and just picking up right where you left off.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So that's what makes it great about the entertainment. Also doing the games and activities, because they're not just seen as like the celebrities on stage and then they disappear.
Right.
They become part of the experience for our guests. And I believe that that's so important because it makes our guests feel valued and it makes them feel more like part of the family.
And a small thing that you do that I flat out love, at the end of a show, you're all waiting at the door for us to exit the theater and say hello. And that's such a cool little thing, just to be able to say thank you and then just say hello to everybody.
Well, and that's one of the things that my boss in the office, she is very big on, is that personal touch. And she always says, find a way to go the extra degree. Because there's a book called 212 Degrees. Because there's only 1 degree difference between water boiling and not boiling, and it's 211 to 212. And water will boil at 212. So that 1 extra degree makes a complete difference. And so she always tells us that, and it's really stuck with me. And so by putting people at the doors before an event, after an event, it's that little extra thing where they get to see you smile and you say hello, and they're like, oh my goodness, I was just thinking about something the other day. You're from this state or you're from this country, and I wanted to ask you. It gives them accessibility.
It does. And you've got the one dancer here, he's from Argentina, Danny.
Yep, Danny.
Oh my God, he doesn't stop smiling.
No, that boy is the happiest-go-lucky person I've ever met.
I just love seeing him all around the ship.
He's very animated.
He is. He's so great.
Growing up, I got to see some of the most incredible musicals. My grandparents let me watch Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers, Gene Kelly, some of the greatest musical people there ever were. And I had a goal in life, and that was to be the next Gene Kelly. And I will tell you this. If he were still alive today, I guarantee you he would be a cruise director for Oceania Cruises.
So we're on the Serena, which is one of the 4, I call them R-class ships, Regatta class ships, and these are 650 passengers approximately. So what would be the differences between, for guests who have never been on Oceania, your smaller ships and then your larger ships?
I think one of the biggest, and I'll say this as a whole for Oceania, with our big and small ships, one of the biggest differences between everyone else in the industry is that we can take you places they can't because we're smaller. So we get to go to these things that we call boutique ports of call.
Yes.
And so you get to actually be in these cities that the big ships can't get you to. And so that's a really special thing. Now the difference between our small ships and our bigger ships is really not much in size-wise. It's only double the size on our Marina Riviera Vista class ships, about 1,200 passengers. But I would say the biggest difference is that on the smaller ships, you really get to know each other a lot more intimately, and you really get that connection between the crew and the guests themselves together. Where you might not feel as much that on the bigger ships, but you're still gonna feel it because it's still Oceania, it's still the way to do it. But also, I believe, between our large ships and our smaller ships, because we built the larger ships, the Marina, the Riviera, and the Vista, is also the restaurants. There are more restaurants on board, which of course we are known for our culinary. So you have more restaurant options on those ships. You also have more entertainment options on those ships. The cast goes from 6 people to 12 people. There are 2 bands on board. You have one show band and one party band for the nighttime. You have an artist loft that always has an artist that teaches art classes throughout the day.
Yeah, we're excited about that.
Yeah, you have a culinary center where you can actually do cooking classes. I mean, so there's a lot more that we really thought about when we built those ships about what do our guests want and what do they enjoy the most. And we added those entertainment spaces in that unfortunately we don't have on our smaller ships because we acquired these ships and then we turned them into the Oceania way, if you will. Yeah,
but I mean, you do a heck of a job with that.
Thanks.
And folks, what blew me away, you do an acoustic show. Where you brought the show band together. They have you have an amazing string quartet that plays all the time. And so for the acoustic show, you brought together the string quartet, you had your show band, and the difference in the sound was just unbelievable.
Yeah, when we get to bring those together, I call it like the Serena Orchestra. And when you bring them together, especially when you're doing something acoustically, there's nothing better than adding that string level in. And it's a show that was designed kind of around MTV Unplugged way back in the day, where they'd have all the carpets and they have the artists doing all their songs acoustically. It's kind of revolved around that concept, but it's one of my favorite shows that we have on board.
It is. Great show.
Yeah.
Great show. So Carson, your outfits. You are the shiniest man I think I've ever met.
Oh, goodness. I mean, I think Liberace has me beat. But
you know, we've been to the Liberace Museum. I will agree with that.
But I might come in a close second.
And I'm sure they don't weigh 100 pounds like Liberace did.
Oh, gosh, no.
Right.
I have no upper body strength.
So where did all of this get started with all the shiny? Because you are a very shiny man.
So I've always been a bright colored person. I love bright colors. I love things like that. But when I was 6 years old, I started wearing bow ties. And that kind of became my thing. I never wore a regular tie. It was always bow ties. And so then I started collecting bow ties. And now I have almost 400 bow ties.
Okay, can you pick one that's your favorite?
That one's really, really tough.
Okay, never mind. We don't have 5 hours. So
yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm in my mind, I'm going through drawers now. But no, I have them all like laid out in my apartment in drawers according to, is it formal, is it semi-formal, is it specialty? On board, I wear a lot of specialties.
I love you so much. I just love you so much. I just got to say that. All right.
But the ones I bring on board are specialty ties. So lots of sparkles, some made of wood, some made of feathers.
Made of wood?
Yeah. I have one that has, I wore it on the very first day of this cruise, actually. It's a wooden bow tie that has the skyline of New York City, which is where I live, sketched into it.
Oh, I missed that one. Oh, okay. Cool.
So yeah, I mean, I have all kinds, and those are the ones I really bring on board because they're eye-catching, and people, they're what I like to call conversation starters. So that's where it all started.
Okay.
Then as I got more into the business, I started re-evaluating my suits and things like that. And so then I started to get into vests.
Oh, nice.
Vests became my thing for a little while.
Okay, I could see that.
Then I moved on to blazers. And then I just wanted all these different unique styles of blazers in a plethora of colors.
And he does mean plethora.
And then when there was nowhere else to go, I moved on to shoes, which in hindsight, wasn't the best idea because my life savings is slowly depleting.
Well, yeah. He had invested in clothing.
I have invested. I don't really know if it's a great investment, but it's I love it because now what I've started to do is combine all of those things. So as my mother always said, match top to toe.
Oh.
So the bow tie now matches with the shoes to the jacket, and it all comes together. And so I travel with a lot of luggage.
I bet you do. And
in my personal life, a lot of baggage.
So 800 bow ties, how many shoes? Or 400 bow ties. 400 bow ties, how many shoes?
I just crossed the 100 shoe mark.
100 pairs of shoes.
I don't have them all on board.
Oh, okay.
I only have 14 pairs.
I was going to say, because the ship would be listing, I think, if we had all the shoes on here, too.
Hey, even with everything I have on board, I'm here. Okay, I'll just tell you. I have 14 pairs of shoes that I wear with my suits.
Okay, all right.
3 pairs of normal shoes for like daytime and like going out.
Yeah,
and
like
stuff.
you're very unshiny at the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The sparkles come out at night. Gotta wait till the sun goes down. And then I have 14 blazers.
Okay.
7 vests. Wow. And then about 16 dress shirts. And that's just my nighttime stuff. Then I have to do my daytime stuff.
Well, sure.
But I say all that to tell you, I only came with 2 bags.
Wow, that's impressive.
I have learned the art of packing.
Yeah.
I might make my own vlog and teach people how
You really
to pack.
should.
But I get quite particular when it comes to my packing. I have pictures of exactly where everything goes as I do it. I have a checklist for each bag.
Nice.
So I know those bags exactly what they're going to weigh as soon as they're done. I don't have to weigh them because I know exactly what they'll weigh.
Wow.
I've gotten very particular about it.
You could have had a great career in television and film because that's exactly how we would have pictures, camera goes here, lens goes there, these cables go there, like you know right where until you pop it open, you know where to go.
If anybody out there is watching, I'm ready to be a nighttime talk show host.
No, there you go. There you go. The next Conan.
Hey, you know who I really would like to be? The next Johnny Carson.
Oh, yeah. So is that where the name came from?
No, my grandfather's name was Carson.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, and Carson's actually my middle name.
Is it really? Oh, are you going to reveal to the world or no?
Casey is my first
Is
name.
it really?
It
Casey
is.
Carson. That's kind of cool.
Casey Carson Stephen Turner.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a
Now
pretty
you have
cool
my
name.
full name. All you need is my social security number.
Yeah. Which is? No.
5.
5.
It's very early.
I love it.
Everything's up to date in Kansas City. They're going about as far as they can go.
So you live in New York now. Obviously, you said you were Broadway bound at one point. I grew up in the Hudson Valley. I saw Liza Minnelli was my very first show. Liza Minnelli, the act.
I've seen her once.
Yeah, she's amazing, right? Right. So, favorite or best Broadway show?
Ooh, okay.
I know those are fighting words. I know, but you know, for the sake of argument.
This is tough for me because there's so many different genres of musical.
Right.
But actually today, later on this afternoon, I'm going to do my own show for our guests.
excited.
So I'm very excited for that. And it's all Broadway music.
Yay.
It's my life story told through Broadway musicals.
Oh, I can't wait.
And in that show, I do very clearly say what my favorite Broadway musical is, and that is Oklahoma.
Oh, great choice.
The corpse is high as an elephant's eye, and it looks like it's climbing clear up to the sky.
And I will say the reason behind it is first and foremost, no one will ever write orchestrations like Rodgers and Hammerstein.
No.
They're just timeless orchestrations that are beautiful to this day. But also, it is a show that in my life changed my life 3 different times.
Really?
I call it a full circle show for me. It changed my life completely, and I explain that in the show that I'll do for our guests.
Okay, awesum. So we'll have to wait till the show to hear that.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. To be continued.
After the break.
You can walk the pretties in the rain and never wet your feet. Only gone out as far as they can go. Yes, they gone out as far as they can go.
So that's your favorite show, and is that like your favorite show that you've actually seen live, or is there like
I've
another
seen it live. I've been in it.
Who were you?
I was Will Parker.
Really?
Yes, I was the crazy, stupid cowboy.
Well.
But I won't lie, if I could play that role for the rest of my life, I would.
Really?
It was the most fun I've ever had on stage. Because he's a dumb cowboy. He's just dumb as rocks, but he's in love. He's a hopeless romantic, and he's just in love. And he's got such an easy gig. The whole first half of the show, he doesn't even come out. And then halfway through Act 1, so I'm just sitting backstage. Halfway through Act 1, you do the biggest number of Act 1, which is Kansas City. Huge dance number. And then you go back off stage until the Dream Ballet. You walk on in some fog, and then you walk back off. And then you come back for Act 2. You got 2 songs in there, and you're done.
Wow. Pretty easy gig.
Yeah, it was. But it was a blast. I had a great time doing it.
Wow. So now, if you could play, you just said if you could do that forever, but is there like any role, like you've seen a show and it's like, oh, man, I would love to, I wish I could do that.
Yeah, it's a role that I'll never play because I'm too tall. If you don't know anything about Broadway, they're very particular.
Oh, yeah.
It comes down to height. It can even come down to your hair color. It comes down to so many different things. Now you're thinking hair color, well, they have wigs. Sometimes that doesn't matter.
Right.
But the character it's in a musical called Wicked.
Yes.
And the character is Bach.
Bach.
So he's the little munchkin boy that's in love with Glenda. I love a good underdog. I'm all for an underdog character. And I mean, he's the one that ultimately turns into the Tin Man.
Sure.
Now, if I just spoiled that for you, Wicked's been on Broadway for over 20 years.
Over 20. In fact, just celebrated 20 years.
Yeah,
so yeah. So shame on you.
So where have you
been?
But yeah, I love that role. I love side characters.
Yeah.
A lot, because oftentimes the side characters, they have the funniest lines in the show. They have the best numbers in the show. Actually, you'll see this in my show in a little bit. I also really like villains.
Oh yeah, they have the best lines.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I say I love villains in Disney movies because they always get the best songs.
They do.
It's so true.
I admit that in the past I've been a nasty. They were kidding when they called me, well, a witch. But you'll find that nowadays I've mended all my ways. Repented, seen the light, and made a switch. True? Yes.
Tangled. I mean, Mother. Mother knows best.
Mother Gothel.
Yes.
Can I just tell you, she's my favorite Disney villain. And do you want to know why?
Why?
Because she has no power. Her only power is manipulation.
Yes.
It's the only power she has. Every other Disney villain has powers. Her only power is manipulation. Because she needs the power of Rapunzel.
That's great.
That's why I love her. I was like, it's such a brilliant role.
It is.
Like,
my favorite, and now I'm blanking on his name, was the original Frozen. Because you really had no idea he was the bad guy until all of a sudden. What a great little twist there. But you're right about it.
Heartbreaking.
Yeah, it is heartbreaking. And you really didn't see it coming.
No.
And then all of a sudden it was
but
there.
Mother Gothel. And of course, she's great. She's voiced by Donna Murphy. It can't get better than that.
Oh man, when you hear the soundtrack, you're just like, oh, this is so good, because it's total Broadway.
Oh, yeah.
When you hear it. My favorite is Dreamgirls. Still Dreamgirls to this day.
We talked about this the other day.
did.
I told you that I saw it at the Apollo Theater in Harlem.
Oh, you saw it at the Apollo. I didn't even see it there. I saw it
did.
after it moved on to Broadway.
Okay.
Oh man.
Yeah,
that
I was
a
really lucky. I had a friend that had an extra ticket, so we went, and it was incredible to be able to see that show at the Apollo. Was really cool.
If you've never been to Broadway, or even if you don't live in New York, wherever you live, there are shows that are happening. You need to go to live theater. There's nothing like
100%. I always say this, and I say it at my show. If you do nothing else when you go back home, please, please, please support your local arts. Please support your local arts. It is so very, very important right now because they are taking money left and right out of the Arts Foundation, out of our arts funding for schools, and there is a kid somewhere that needs that outlet, that needs to be able to play an instrument or paint a picture or have a dance class or go into a theater and act. They need that outlet. We can't create drones with history and math and science. They need other ways to express themselves. And somewhere there's a little boy just sitting there wanting to be a cruise director, so he needs your help.
Or a little Julie out
A little
there.
Julie. That's so true.
So every cruise director, and I think it leads into it so well, has a signature sign-off almost every time. And I think you literally have the best, most personable. It's so simple.
It is.
But it's very powerful. So where did your sign-off come from?
Two different places. One, it comes from the Bible. and that is very true, which is a big part of my upbringing in my life. But the other, it was Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh, yeah.
She said it a lot during her run during the Ellen show, and it really stuck with me for a long time. And one day I used it, and somebody came up to me and they go, "I really like that you said that," and it just kind of stuck, and I've just used it ever since. So at the end of every announcement or show, I always say, "And if you do nothing else today, be kind to one another."
And it's so simple, and it really struck us the first day. It's like, oh, that is so nice.
And you know, it's crazy because, like you say, it is so simple, but how quickly we forget it. And so I think to just have that gentle reminder, because especially when you're on a cruise ship, you are traveling with people right now on this particular cruise, I think from 39 different nationalities just with the guests alone.
Yeah, and this is only 650 people on this ship.
And then from the crew side, it's almost 50 nationalities between the crew themselves. And so looking at all of that, you're gonna maybe butt heads or not understand a way somebody does something because they're a different nationality or something. And sometimes we can get a little up in arms.
Yeah, we can.
So it's just nice to be reminded, hey, take a breath and be kind to one another.
No, it's just so simple and lovely, and I just love that you do it. It's not because some of them they'll do a sales pitch or they'll do something, but it's just so nice and personable.
Yeah, and I do it a lot for myself because I want people to be nice to me. I'm the most visible person on board, so
I know
they find me,
and we can find them easily. Okay. So thank you, first of all, for all of your time. I know you're very, very busy.
Oh, no, it's been a pleasure.
But real quick, so favorite meal on the ship? I'm going to put you on the spot. Favorite meal on the ship?
Red curry from Red Ginger.
Oh, that's nice.
With a potato roll as the appetizer and the watermelon duck salad.
Oh, that watermelon duck salad. I had that the other day.
Can I tell you a secret?
Yeah.
I hate watermelon.
Yeah.
But I love that salad. I can't explain it.
And then the watermelon is so sweet and juicy with that duck. Oh my God. I had that miso glaze.
Oh, the sea bass? Oh, that's delicious.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
So the one that comes in the leaf?
Yeah.
So the presentation's awesome.
Favorite dessert?
Probably mango ginger sorbet.
Ooh, I haven't had that yet.
And if not that, then this is gonna.
Okay.
This is gonna make me sound really dumb.
Dumb?
So, yes. And weird.
Dumb is good, though.
Well...
And you said you're crazy.
That's true. Now I'm dumb and crazy.
See?
I got nothing going for me. No, but what's great is, so I found a new dessert that I love, but it's not a dessert.
Okay.
So if you go to our restaurant here on board Tuscan Steak, or if you go to Polo Grill on our other ships, they have in the soup and salad section a Waldorf salad.
Oh.
And I've started ordering that as my dessert.
That's your dessert.
Because it's just like the perfect little small portion. It's crisp apples and celery. It's nice and refreshing and not so heavy like as pie and cake and stuff. So I love it.
Wow.
The first time I ever ordered it as my dessert, the waiter came up and goes, "This is the first time in my career I'm going to say this. Would you like pepper on your dessert?" I was like, no. Thanks, though.
It's fine just the way it is. Wow.
Waldorf salad. I love it.
So your favorite guilty pleasure? Because, you guys have burgers that are insane, fries that are insane. Favorite guilty pleasure?
My favorite guilty pleasure is making up my own room service order.
Oh, and room service is included, people.
It is.
Yeah.
So I love to order a bowl of rice.
Okay.
A chicken breast, steamed broccoli,
nice,
and a side of soy sauce. I chop it all up and I make stir fry.
Look at that. He's got his own little stir fry, stateroom stir fry.
Love it.
I love that. And then last but not least, every ship has that place or something that, like the last day, you're like, oh, I wish I would have found this earlier in the cruise. Is there a hidden gem that you love on this ship?
My room. I come back in every day and go, wish I would have found this sooner. No, in seriousness, no, it's the library.
Wow.
The library, deck 10 at the aft part of the ship. It's the only room on the ship that hasn't been updated because the owner of our company believes that room is perfect, and I agree with him. I believe it is a beautiful space. The only thing I wish was different about it is that the fireplace was real. Because if that fireplace was real, you guys would never see me on board.
Oh, yeah.
They'd be like, where's Carson? Where do you think he is? The library.
Yeah. I kept thinking, like, you should put a little video screen or something in there at least, with the flag,
a little LED
fire going on.
Then I'd probably just get angry because it wasn't real. But it's the library. I love that room.
That's so funny. I've now talked to Eve, I've talked to Sella, I've talked to you. All three of you said the same room.
Yeah. It's hidden away, it's quiet, it's nice, and some people don't really find it. I do talk about it on the first day when people are getting on board through the announcements. I let them know where it's located so they can get books, because you can take whatever books you want. You don't have to check them out. You can just take them and return them at the end of your cruise. And so people love it, and I love that space. It's a comfortable space.
It is a great space. We've been enjoying it throughout this entire cruise. So Carson, wow, thank you so much for taking time
It has
today.
been my immense pleasure.
Awesome. So is there any last thing that people should know about Oceania before we go?
If you're going to choose a cruise line that is going to make sure you feel at home while you're there. That you're not just a number going through the TikTok of it all, that you are an actual person and a member of that family. We're not going to nickel and dime you. We want you to have an incredible time, and we want to make sure that you experience the world in the best way possible. So if you're going to choose a cruise line, choose Oceania.
And he has described exactly the experience that we've had I was going to say this week, but it's been 12 days.
Yeah, 12 days. It's almost 2 weeks.
I know, almost 2 weeks. And we haven't seen the same suit twice. Like you said, you got 14.
Yeah, and we did Christmas.
Yeah.
We did New Year.
I know.
We had the college playoff games.
Yeah, and we had a master chef on board.
We did. Jacques Pepin was on board with his daughter Claudine, which is the godmother of our ship.
I know.
There's a lot that has happened this cruise.
This could not have been a more perfect cruise when you said Jacques Pepin was on board.
Well, and it was my first cruise back from vacation.
Oh.
And so I walk on board and I had been on for 3 days before. I joined the ship in Barbados on the last cruise, was on for 3 days, and then I took over officially at the beginning of this cruise. And I was like, oh yeah, Christmas, New Year, I'm good. And Eve, the general manager, goes, oh, by the way, the Pepins are on board. And I said, oh, Claudine and her daughter? No, Jacques and Claudine and their daughter and her husband and their friends. And I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Plus Christmas, New Year. But they've been absolutely wonderful. What I loved about it was a surprise for our guests. Our guests had no idea.
No.
And so they were so excited. And Jacques is just one of the most humble and nicest human beings.
Oh my God.
And his daughter is lovely to work with, to talk to, and that's why she's the godmother of our ship.
Yeah.
Just their family has been a pleasure to have on board. It has been absolutely wonderful. And our guests, I think, have really gotten an incredible holiday cruise between Christmas, the Pepins, New Year's Eve, and the college football playoffs.
I grew up with Jacques and Julia Child.
Oh?
And I've now had 2 20-minute conversations just hanging out with him and the family.
That's amazing.
It's been a magical cruise.
It has. It has been a magical cruise. And now I'm going to hibernate for the next one.
Well, man, thank you so much, Carson.
No, my pleasure.
Really
Thank you so
appreciate it.
much.
Thank you for everything that your crew does on here. I got to tell you, the entertainment team, they are working it. It's a small team. It's a mighty team. They are everywhere. So you never know where they're going to pop up next, but, hats
Could
off
be under
to
your
you.
bed.
Could be. With Danny. I would not surprise me if Danny just came out and went, hello! I love Danny so much. You got to take a cruise with Danny and Carson. That would be awesome. So, yeah.
And remember, even though you're not on the ship, if you do nothing else today, be kind to one another.